Konnichiwa viewers, welcome to another episode of Kyoto by Night, The Second Breath. Tonight we are again looking in on Pink Fox, who has been gathering information of various sorts from her several sources within the city and tentatively getting into contact with some of the locals. However, this evening, it looks like she's got something else planned.
Konbanwa, bitches. Tonight's scene starts with Pink Fox getting on the train, which seems rather mundane and rather boring for someone so yang-imbued as she is, but there is a reason for this, and it's not just because, trains are awesome like that. Basically, she gets on this particular train towards this certain forest west of Kyoto, where a certain thrashing dragon, Mandarin, had told her that he can be found. And she's going there for a multitude of reasons, but more than anything else, it's just to see this guy again, because her initial meeting with him was enlightening, to say the least. And although she did kind of lose the game that they'd played, he left a lasting impression. And being hungry for knowledge, as well as, all the other things which a thrashing dragon hungers for, she sets out there on the train, pays her fare, as all good citizens do, because, public transit is not the most happiest of jobs to have. And, this being the winter months, there's a lot more hours for the poor transit public service people to have to ride on some empty trains, but this day is their lucky day. But anyway, she gets off the train and starts heading in the direction of the forest itself, in the hope that she'll attract the right amount of attention, though obviously, common sense gland will kick in at certain points. We hope, storyteller.
Well, the thing that Pink Fox notices is in her mind, especially with the primal bestial nature of Musashi when he referred to this Sagano forest, she was no doubt expecting a quaint, backwoodsy type place. But when she gets off the tram, this is probably the second largest tourist attraction in Kyoto proper. It is got a bit of a distance, and you can see the forest and mountains in the distance. However, there's a lot of traffic of people from the city. You can see there's a bike route from the city out to Arashiyama. As well, there's buses, there's taxis, the tram you're on, and there's quite a bit of quaint-looking buildings, but definitely upgraded with neon lights in the area as you get off of the tram. It is kind of like one of those, can't remember the proper term, but a lot of our viewers have no doubt been to tourist locations where they pretend that they're in medieval times or settler times. Well, this is the buildings and the architecture is still trying to keep with the rustic history of when Kyoto was the capital of Japan. And while their dress is also a little bit more less modern, you can see that there's a lot of tourists of both Japanese and European descent that are mingling in the streets and checking out the different shops and tea houses.
Pink Fox will, although she'd love to get involved in all this stuff and be a part of all the rich history of this particular region of Kyoto, because learning shit is cool. She's searching for a particular lesson which these tourist attractions and the guides and everything, they can't really give her all that much. Though it would be nice to like maybe come down here to another night and just check shit out because it's cool to look at. But for the sake of appearances and to probably initiate a search, she'd probably try and go amongst the people and probably use her common sense. She knows that Musashi doesn't. Well, she knew that Musashi didn't really. Although he was, he did mention that he didn't particularly like cities or rural. It's out of necessity that he would stay somewhat close to it. Because naturally the Gake or equation or whatever you want to call it, Eastern vampires, the kindred of the East, they can't feed on animals, and they probably wouldn't even if they could, unless in dire circumstances. So she's probably going to try and use her common sense. Where would Musashi or someone like that try and stay that is close to a place like this, but also isolated? Well, we say isolated. Has proximity enough to where he can get the best of both worlds. If common sense will tell me that.
Okay. Well, he had specifically mentioned the bamboo forest. So if you headed down probably the main pathway that leads there, that will get you a better chance of heading in the proper direction. There's no doubt lots of things in the area that would be attracting his attention, and this is probably prime hunting grounds. So unless you wanted to bank on the fact that he might be out hunting tonight, then just heading straight for the bamboo grove would probably be the best option.
Yeah, she'll probably go there in that case.
Okay, so the bamboo groves obviously a little darker than the scene here, but they are tended quite well, and there are wide pathways that tourists do walk along. They are lit at night, not with a lot of light because they are trying to be mindful for the forest creatures, or for those of you may think of the fact that there could be some influence to protect the forest spirits by not having too much light at night. But yes, after a short walk from the area where the tram lets you off and through the crowds, you can get through to where the actual bamboo forest is, and yeah, you can start heading down the pathways there.
Okay. Yeah, Pink Fox will probably start heading down the pathways. In fact, I think she'll, because I get the feeling that something, well, I say something might happen. That she wants to make sure that if Musashi is out there, that she'll see him. Well, we say that she'll have a better chance of seeing him before he sees her, or whatever goes on here. So I've got to roll hunt for heightened senses, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 3 successes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, your sight, hearing, smell, are you going to enhance all of them, or are you going to just focus on one, or?
I think, well, it's common sense same in this case, because I get the feeling that because it's got like huge these lights here, if I heighten sight, then that's going to blind me.
Potentially, but if you heighten your sight, you'll be able to maybe use that light to peer through the forest itself, rather than just trying to rely on some faint smell.
Yeah, I think I'll do that in case heighten the sight. So
Okay.
obviously, just keep her eyes somewhat low to the ground, as it were. Try not to look up so suddenly, and especially not look up directly into those lights.
Yeah.
At least not without powering them. powering the heightened sensors down.
All right. Then you can make a. You know what? With your enhanced sight, what I'll get you to do is a intelligence survival.
Good sir, why do you torture me so?
Okay.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Oh, fuck me,
Oh,
2
good.
successes.
Okay. So able to peer through the forest itself, you are noticing that there seems to be, even though there's no official access point to get into the forest from the path that you're walking along. As you can see, they have hedges specifically to keep people out of the forest. There seems to be a couple of where the bamboo is got gaps that would indicate a trail that individuals could be using. So it could be either somebody travels there regularly, or they could have been designed that way for people tending to the lights, the pathways, or whatnot. But there are ways for you to be able to travel if you hopped over the hedge to get access to the forest itself.
My head is springing off all kinds of warnings right now, out of character. So, but I do think that Pink Fox probably would. Well, what does common sense tell me at the moment, as opposed to in regards to my relative safety in this situation?
Well, your Dharma tells you to be impulsive, and you are looking for him in the forest. That's about all I think common sense can really help you here.
Yes, I think. Oh, fuck it. Let's go for it. Pink Fox will probably. I haven't really described what she's wearing, but I think we can safely say that the ground is probably going to ruin. It's probably going to ruin her little shoes, so she'll probably take those off as she. I never said she had socks anyway, though she probably would, given how it's if it's winter. But sometimes you have to feel the tread of the grass underneath your feet, and she'll take those off and head through that little hedge and into the forest proper to hopefully start searching for Musashi, or at least find some trace of him, or alternatively leave some trace for him to find her.
Okay. So what method specifically is she going to use as she ventures out into the forest along these little trails?
She's going to use. Well, she's heightened up her sight, so she'll probably use that. Suppose that would be perception alertness.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's at -2 difficulty, so that's 3 successes.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So between now that you've got the lights from the path in the distance and the starlight and a little bit of moonlight filtering down through the top of the forest, you are able to move relatively as quickly as you would choose to through the forest in search of the Mandarin. The pathway, as you're following it, does seem to intersect with other paths. They aren't paved. They look like they're somewhat well traveled, but not motorized. With that perception check, actually, you wouldn't see boot prints either. The ground is soft enough that boots would probably leave a mark, though. And you do see the odd animal track from many of the native animals in the forest. You can hear birds chirping in the distance, and every now and then the odd monkey call through the night.
Damn, didn't know that they were native to this part of the world. Out of character.
Yeah, there's actually this area. There's a reserve park that's populated with monkeys that
Oh,
tourists can go walk through the forest and see the monkeys just because they just hang out.
yeah. Mental note: book a holiday in Kyoto next year. Okay. Yeah. Seeing all this, is there any? I say that. Actually, I'd say potentially if I could use. What does common sense say with regards to use of life site or anything of that nature to potentially try? Because I do get the feeling that whilst obviously the most obvious path to take would be to use a life site in order to try and find anyone or anything with a high enough chi resonant yang chi resonance. There's also the possibility. Well, I really wish I could make a decision in this regard, but
You could, if you're thinking along the lines of life site, you could use that to either try to zone in on strong emotions or, like you said, yang resonance, or you could use it too to try to pierce your sight over to the other side and see if you can find a yang spirit that might be able to help
there we go.
what you're doing.
All right, what do I have to roll for yang sight in order to?
All right, so you're spending a point of yang chi, and then are you zoning in or are you peering across the wall?
Peering across the wall.
Okay, so that'll be option on occult. Difficulty here would be 5.
Okie dokes, perception occult. Would the fact that I've got heightened senses up already, would that reduce it anymore? Or is that just? Oh yes, hang on, it's a stupid question. It's the wall thing. So here we go. There we go. 3 successes.
3 successes. Okay. And let's take a look and see what you've got in the area. Okay. And all right, just trying to see how long it's going to take you to try to find a yang spirit. Well, you are not having a lucky night. Oh, Jesus. Okay, you know what? At this point, then, you do find a yang spirit, but they're not necessarily going to be friendly at the outset. So after searching through the forest for a while and trying to attune yourself, peering through the wall as you're walking through the forest, you will find a what would be you would find a sickly looking spirit. Appears to be made of wood, ashen gray coloring to it. And it actually seems to have been following you as you're kind of glanced over your shoulder and noticed that it has this kind of half sulking, half stalking you.
Something tells me I'm in for a rough night. In any case, Pink Fox will. Pink Fox will probably start looking at this spirit, studying it a little bit. Can I do an occult roll?
Yeah, you could do intelligence occult. Difficulty would be 8.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Oh, 1 success.
Okay. It looks like it is a tree spirit, but it has been tainted in some manner or another.
Yeah, not quite what I was hoping for. What does common sense say for me in this regard?
Well, right now it's just following you. So you've got some options. You can ignore it until it does something. You can try to interact with it one way or the other. Either try diplomacy or can go straight to hostility. Because tainted or not tainted, it is still a yang spirit, which still could fall under your purview.
Hmm. Right, I'm just looking at the stuff for Yang Mantle here. Alright, so if I... Okay, spend 1 point of Yang Chi, provided you can see them, can use social abilities against spirit rolling, difficulty of spirit's gnosis +4. Okay. Yeah, I think she'll probably slowly, somewhat, try to approach this thing, and just simply express it in the most sympathetic terms as possible. Are you sick, spirit of the trees, of the great trees? Who has sickened you?
No, you said you were looking up Yang Mantle. Do you activate it as well, or?
I can if I have to.
Okay. At this point, it's up to you whether you feel you have to or not. But if you're going to speak to it, I just need you to roll your Hun again to be able to speak. Difficulty is 3. So, yeah, you're able to speak with the spirit quite easily. From the sky. Long ago from the sky.
From the sky. Was it the rain that was tainted? Was it the rain, the life water that gave you your existence? Was that which made you sick?
Abominations from the sky. Long ago. I don't like people. You are alone. You can see me.
I am neither living nor dead. I wish I had the power to heal you, but I was searching for one wiser than I. Perhaps if we help find him, he can help bring you back to life.
He does not heal me.
Why not?
He won't. There is no healing for me. I hunger.
Why does he not wish to heal you?
I do not know, because he hates me. You hate me too.
I think at this point I probably should use Yang Mantle.
Okay.
I'll spend 1 Yang and let me think. Would it be appearance or charisma plus empathy? It's really up to you.
Between the two, I say it would be charisma and empathy.
Okay, that's 6 dice. Let's double check. And I get -1 due to friendly face. Spirit's Gnosis +4. Spend a point of willpower for this.
Okay.
That's 3 successes, depending on the difficulty.
Yeah, 3 successes. So, or maybe you can help, or you want to help. I am hungry, so much hungry.
Can I do another occult roll to find out what's the best way to feed this?
Yeah, intelligence occult.
Okay. Oh, wow. 4 successes.
Nice. So you can feed yang spirits directly by offering it your blood infused with yang chi.
Okay. Would that cause me risk me any harm? Would that
No. If you're like doing the incision yourself, as long as you're not like hurting yourself too badly, you can let enough blood pool and then can infuse it with the yang energy and offer it. So you would have control of how much yang was coming out of your body. It's not like feeding a vampire where it would all of a sudden start sucking more out of you.
Mm-hmm.
It can only get what you give it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, she'll do exactly that in that case. She'll offer up a point of yang chi for them.
Okay. It approaches cautiously, but with each mimicked breath it takes, it seems a little bit more willing to take the risk, and it falls upon your hands and just laps away at the blood you have provided. You can see that its coloring kind of softens to a sickly green instead of ashen gray. And after it's done drinking, it kind of sits up a little bit and thank you. That's better. Not so hungry.
I can give more, but I need to find him. I have questions that only he can answer.
I know where he is. I can take you. If you promise to feed me more.
I will.
All right. Come. And it will start heading through the forest off of the pathway, but bamboo's nature being what it is, and your agility, you're not having a difficult time. It's not running ahead, so you're able to keep up and maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
And as it goes along, it leads you to what looks like just a little shack in the middle of the woods. There's no paths leading to it. It actually looks like an abandoned building. And it stops and turns to you. You promised more.
And Pink Fox will first just check out the shack, make sure that there's probably someone there, or if there's any indication that Musashi, had been there.
Okay, you can make a perception and yang difficulty 9. Since between your life sight and your yang mantle, you've got quite a bit of sensitivity going on.
No, he said difficulty 9, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, nothing.
Okay, so your senses don't pick up anything, but with your heightened senses up, you see movement in the shadows from within the hut. So something is there at least.
Right, and Pink Fox will give the spirit another point of yang chi.
Okay.
In exchange for it. Thank you.
It will gladly lap that up. How much yang chi does that leave you in your system right now?
1, 2, 3. 2 points of yang chi at the moment.
Okay. So I will get you
Decent,
to
though.
I will get you to roll your yin. As you're at risk of fire soul. However, it's not
Difficulty.
the difficulty for this will be 6, I believe, because your Po isn't terribly strong.
Just off the mark.
All right. So you will actually frenzy from feeding this spirit the second time. Your awareness of it is kind of secondary, as you don't really have a way to get the chi back from it. But you do recall that there was movement in the hut.
Right, could I spend a point of willpower to try and resist that frenzy? I know it's kind of a bit late, but you know.
I'll give you 1 round of being in frenzy, and then you can spend a point of willpower to try to pull out of it again.
Okay.
So with your 1 round, what do you do?
Let me think. There's nothing for Pink Fox to like physically, because she cannot reach over to the other side of the gauntlet and bite into any spirit or anything like that, because not quite advanced, thankfully, as well. And there's no guarantee that she can see something in there, but it's just completely brainless. So I'll just roll some dice. I've got an idea in my head what she'll do, but I'm going to roll some fate die in any case.
Okay.
I think she's probably just going to run randomly off into the forest, like just snarling and raging, like rah, 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 for however long. It probably makes a lot of noise until.
Okay. All right, so you'll head off into the forest for a bit, and you can spend your willpower and try another yin roll to pull yourself out.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
All right, well, let's take a look here at how far you go. All right, you find a source of chi. A person is traveling through the forest, and you happen upon them.
Mm-hmm.
What is you and Frenzy going to do?
Goodness gracious me. How can I describe this which is adequately as hilarious as this situation is going to be? I'd say, well, you can't exactly sneak upon someone during your middle of frenzy unless, you'll allow me that.
Yeah, no, you kind of basically stumble upon him and he's kind of standing a little bit perplexed as he hears you coming through the trees, and he's not really sure because there's not supposed to be any wild animals out here.
My dice pool. I say my dice pool. This is funny. She'll probably try and jump on him and nom him, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, do I need to roll anything?
Yeah, you know what? Just your dex brawl.
Okay.
And unless you mess up this roll, then you're probably...
No, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, so you happen upon him, and in frenzy can start feeding. You're in frenzy, so you spend a point of demon chi to get fangs so that you can bite.
Okay.
And you can roll yin again. Difficulty will be 5 after you've got some chi in your system.
Nope. Didn't get it.
All
Well,
right.
rolling again, or
You know what? You will come out of Fire Soul with a lot of Yang Qi in your system. If I can get you to roll your Hun, I will roll your Po, and let's see which one of you comes to.
what am I saying?
So you coming out of coming out. You're coming out of frenzy. So, but when you come out of frenzy, you got to see who's got control, the Hun or the Po. So if you roll Hun, I'll roll Po, and we'll see if you're in Shadow Soul or not.
Okay.
All right.
Two
So
successes.
you are still in control. You come out of Shadow Soul. I mean, sorry, Fire Soul. You have a dead guy in front of you, and you will have gotten 6 Yang and 4 Yin Chi.
Ooh. I don't think my total. Well, on the plus side, that's replenished, overly replenished my supplies. So it's like, yeah. Common sense tells me check the local area, or check the surroundings, or check me as well.
Yeah. Do perception and alertness as you kind of look around.
Okay, that's 3 or 4, depending on if we've still got the -2.
Okay. Yeah, your enhanced sight would still be active, and yeah, as you come through, Musashi is kind of crouched in the in between some of the bamboo and is watching you.
I'm gonna roll manipulation subterfuge to keep it together. Nope. Yeah, as soon as Pink Fox sees her, basically, because I can't really do the face all that well, just imagine whatever this lady pictures here. It's basically her face is like what that would be describing. Or alternatively, this. But she looks like a starstruck little fangirl who has also killed someone. She's kind of like, hi, I'm sorry. There was a kind of a thing with a Yang spirit. I couldn't find you, so I kind of asked one of them, but it was just I used up a lot of a lot of yang chi to try and heal it and feed it and interact with it, and I'm sorry for causing a mess in your forest. Sorry.
Fire Soul is a risk that we have. We don't shy away from that state as much as some of the other dharmas. It is an unfortunate reality we have to accept. And that is why we have rituals to assist us when situations like this arise. Do you know of any of our rites?
Yeah, I know one which I knew I was going to use one day. I didn't think it was going to be for something like this. The prayer for taking life.
Very well, young sister. Please demonstrate.
Well, usually we'd need like food and wine and paper prayer strips and
take him with you. Bring him with. We'll go back to my hut. I do have such in supply. And he'll get up and he'll start heading back through the forest.
Yeah. Pink Fox will try and pull the guy up into a seated position and try and lift him up onto his shoulders. I'm presuming this guy is not quite Well, he's a full-sized adult, I'm
He
assuming.
is a full-sized adult. He looks like he actually was probably a gardener employed by the park and was out tending to the bushes. You can see a set of shears on the ground, not too far.
Yeah, she'll probably take those as well because, reasons. She'll lift him up onto her shoulders in a fireman's carry, take the shears, and just like stumble and flop all over to the shack with Musashi.
Okay. Yeah, the shack is there. He lights a paper lantern to give a little bit of illumination, and he gets out the materials required for you and takes a step back to allow you to proceed.
And Pick Fox proceeds to enact the ritual as she had been taught during her ray. She, obviously lays the gentleman out, puts his hands crossed over one another, just to show him and like adjust everything, shows him a bit of dignity. She keeps the shears somewhat close to him because obviously they were a personal item, and most people, at least in her opinion anyway, they should love their jobs, and so if he loved the plants as well as as he assumed, he loved cultivating the plants as she enjoyed cultivating people. She felt that it would be dignified for him to carry those into business. And she she kneels down before him, offers each of the foodstuffs and the wines in tow, and takes the prayer strips and places them in the positions where she was told to. All the while she was just whispering, thank you for providing me with your sustenance. Well, essentially it's a prayer which probably is a little bit more elaborate and a little bit more somewhat poetic in a way. Essentially it just says, thank you for the sustenance that you gave me. I'm sorry for killing you. It wasn't my intention, or whatever my intention was, it was done to follow my creed. If I take one life, I shall plant a forest, which is surprisingly quite apt in this situation. And let it be known that let it be known that whilst you may not be the first and you may not be the last, those that come after you will not suffer as yada 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 whatever. Because it's nearly 10 o'clock and I've been up for quite a long while. So excuse me if my creative juices aren't quite as flowing quite as well. But essentially that is what it is. But yeah, Musashi will probably recognize it as the classical prayer for taking life in order to pay respects to the dead.
Okay. Yeah, and he'll sit and observe while you do so, and I mean, shifts his weight from foot to foot sometimes, but after you're done the ceremony, then very well. Well, what can I help you for? Is Fox, is it?
Pink Fox. I was kind of hoping that we would meet under better circumstances than this, but
well, what is inauspicious of these circumstances?
Well, okay, I understand. I knew that when I was starting my path that this is an aspect of the path that does exist and would occur. This is the first human that I've ever killed in feeding.
Check his ID.
And Pink Fox probably does a slight double take before she looks over to the gentleman, and as respectful as she probably can, given how she's just done the prayer for taking life, begin searching his pockets for any wallets or anything like that.
Okay, so you find a wallet, and as you take it out, Musashi says, What is his name?
And she'll open the wallet and search the contents if he's got a driver's license or an ID or whatever.
Yeah, he'd probably have a driver's license and a work ID in his wallet.
Yeah, she'd probably like look at those and like list the name off.
Okay. Now, you can't keep those IDs because that would look suspicious, and we want to make sure his family can inter him properly. However, remember that name if he is your first. And when you are practicing, when you are meditating, when you're doing your katas to enhance your chi flow, remember that name. It'll have importance on your road back.
Oh, well.
But back to the original topic. You were looking for me for which reason?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. I suppose the first question I wanted to ask as I was coming over here was, I'm only 1 or 2 steps on my path on the road back. You are many. The first question I would ask is, what is best in life? And I always say, if you say crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women, I'm out.
What is best in life? That sounds more like a question for the bone flowers. A riddle, perhaps. Though I'm sure some of them would say, crush your enemies. Some of them would say 42. There's many different things. And really, the answer to that question is the sole purpose of our path. Is what is best in life. The life that we no longer have, the life that is stained with the blood of our kills, with the blood that we had before we even took the trip back. What is best for us? What is best for them? What is best for the spirits? Those are all separate things that we must find. So, Pink Fox, there is not one answer to that question, but many. That is the sole purpose of our path, and finding our answers to that question is what brings us enlightenment.
I think I understand.
You will. You will. As you said, it is still early.
The second thing that I wanted here to come to ask you about was, aside from, learning, asking the questions which are important for my spiritual development, I wanted to ask you about the discipline that I saw you using, well, that I and the 2 devil tigers saw you using. It's flesh and tie, isn't it?
Ah, yes, it is a trick that many of us and the centipedes do tend to use to some extent. Understanding our bodies is one way to help breach the limitations of our physical form. Do you have any knowledge on such matters? To be able to channel your chi into flowing to enhance your body the way that you choose?
No, not as of yet. I have, like many thrashing dragons, chosen to study the chi art of the yang prana. I've learned it up to the point of being able to evoke the yang mantle, which is probably one of the reasons why I went into the fire soul. I've also learned some rudimentary understanding of the soul art of obligation, because, well, I learned these arts because I face east. I have to be around people. That's how I feel. That's how I feel that I should be. That's how I feel comfortable. Coming out here is, whilst it's not exactly been outside my comfort zone, it's outside my area of specialty, I suppose you could say.
All aspects can contribute to us. I've learned those methods as well to be able to interact with our former species. I do find the serenity out here to be very enlightening, and there are many things in nature that we can learn from. But I do have to remind myself that the mortal world does also provide us with lessons to learn. So you have the abilities, you are learning to channel chi, you are learning to read and interact with the Hun spirits, but you're seeking for ways to push your mortal form even farther than the young prana will allow.
Yes.
Wow.
I know I didn't exactly win the game that you played with Kagome and Fu and me, but I took something away from that lesson, I think. I learned, as well as about the applications of flesh and tie, I'd say I also learnt about the limitations that even I have. I mean, look at that club, for instance. Kagome couldn't get in there. Fu could only get in there because she used Kagome as a pawn. I got in there like, well, like nothing. It was so easy. That's where the limitations started, I think. Both for, myself and, all the others. Well, except with the one that found you.
Yes, when things become too easy, complacency can be an enemy to enlightenment. So it is good to always change things up. Some see us as being flighty, as they focus too much attention on one or two areas of expertise. But it all intermingles for us. The katas that you do in developing your flow of yang qi with the yang prana, he kind of looks her up and down. Dancing or martial arts that you are keen on as a mortal before your second breath, no doubt also helps to channel the chi within your body. And that channeling the chi for extra flexibility, extra acrobatic prowess is the foundation of the flesh and tie. The god body powers, as they were once known, where you were enhancing your body literally for godlike abilities. And even in the fifth age, it is still astounding what can be done, where you can push the flexibility of your mortal form beyond that it was originally designed, even without having to tap into the gifts of that discipline itself. It is a very important foundation to be able to push yourself to that limit. So I would say yes, it is good for you to exert yourself in that way, to try to tap into your chi and get a little bit more going for you. Now the question
And,
is,
well, I'll admit, the idea of being able to shapeshift into almost anything also has kind of an appeal as well. Is there any limits on how far you can, well,
if you
once
learn
you
enough,
get,
once you've mastered enough, there are few limitations on what you can do. Somebody small and slight like yourself is probably more limited than somebody who's got a little bit more height and a little bit more bulk naturally, like myself. However, uh, eventually you're able to somewhat supersede that. But for instance, it'd be difficult for you to pass yourself off effectively under severe scrutiny as a sumo wrestler, even with the gifts of flesh shintai. However, if you get enough skill at it under quick examination, you would be able to do so. As long as nobody's trying to pick you up or wrestle with you, in which case they would notice that you do not weigh as much as a sumo wrestler.
Pink Fox's mental train of thought goes into very gutter-like areas at that moment, but we will not mention that. Fam, why don't we do another manipulation subterfuge roll? She gets 2 successes.
Okay.
If he's even going to bother try and read her.
He's actually not delving that. He's just kind of going with how she's reacting. So if she's trying to hide her emotion, she's gonna get away with it if she's successful. So you do have to realize
because I don't think. Sorry, carry on.
No. You can. You're right. Yeah.
I was going to say if I'd have botched, I would have to have brought out the heart eyes image again.
You do have to realize that flesh shintai is not a pretty discipline to learn. The lower levels until you get to the shape-shifting gefs is actually fairly grotesque in appearance and creates a little bit of pain. It's enlightening, but it is definitely unlike anything that you've experienced before.
Oh. Well. Suppose I'll have to think a little bit more about it, but more than anything else, I think I'll inevitably come to the conclusion that I would like to learn this particular discipline at some point. Do I need to... I mean, would it help if I was a lot more supple, flexible, considerable?
Not to the extent that Yang Prana requires. If you wish to start training or preparing your body for being able to push it beyond those limits, the best way to do is continue with the katas and the exercises that you do already in your Yang Prana channeling, and then try to push yourself far enough that you get pain, perhaps even inflicting injuries upon yourself in trying to push your body at angles that it normally shouldn't go to. It can be difficult, but if you are able to push yourself to those limits and beyond and channel your chi to be able to withstand those wounds, then that will help you on your way in awakening this power that's within you.
Mm. I understand. There was one other thing that I wanted to ask you as well. The way, well, one way that I thought that I could follow my Dharma and, gain some benefit out of it as well, beyond that, was to involve myself with people that I've come to become somewhat close to. Not like, love or anything like that. I haven't gotten around to that yet. But I found someone. I found someone who was living too passive a life. Like you said, complacency. It's the bane of all life. Humans have only a short time to live the life that they've been given. And when I saw this man wasting his life away behind a desk and not even living up to his own potential, I just thought to myself, I can encourage this guy to be more than he is. But he's just so, I questioned him why he was so complacent, and he seemed just, in my opinion, he seemed scared. He didn't express that explicitly, but he almost seemed scared to take that extra step. He seemed he lived almost his entire life under the auspices of, or at least living only for the obligations that he had been given by his parents, his teachers, his colleagues. He could do a lot better if he had the right set of circumstances. I can do only what I can do. I can talk him into being confident in himself, but I can't give him the joss necessary for him to succeed, or at least stack the odds in his favor. Because if there's anyone who I know, as of right now, that deserves to take that extra step, that deserves to rise above that which were just merely given, it's this man.
Why are you deliberating? You are right. Fear is our antithesis. We accept the fact that fire soul is so easy for us to come by, but wave soul is very rarely heard of in our cases. We fight fear. We have the courage to do what must be done and to act. You're putting too much thought, too much deliberation into your path, Pink Fox. Act. You find a mortal that is lacking passion. Spark that passion. Give him a reason, whether it's yourself or somebody else that he feels he is inspired by and needs to push himself for. Take those mortals. You are east facing. Your job is to take the mortal realm and help push them forwards, excite them, and let them enjoy life, not drudging along in their little box offices and breathing recycled air, but to get them to just take life by the balls and jerk it off, like just go for it.
That's exactly what I was one of the reasons why I came here. I know what I can do. I know what I have done. But I want to do more.
Then
I
do
want
it.
to do... But therein also lies the problem. What else can I do? The idea is there, the motive is there, the passion is there. But it's like I've got a blank shutter in front of my eyes. The idea is behind that shutter. I just need someone to pull the veil.
Don't wait for the veil to be pulled. Charge through it. Don't let fear hold your enlightenment back. If you make a mistake with this mortal, there'll be another one for you to help and learn from the mistakes.
Therein also I need your wisdom. I've already talked him into going for it, going for the exam, going for that next step. Whatever things can I do? And if I do...
If he's complacent, then I doubt he's very physically active. So, and again, whether it's dance or martial arts or gymnastics, like whatever it is that you're into, that you utilize, get him involved. Take him dancing. Invite him to be a sparring partner for whatever dojo that you do martial arts for, whatever that aspect of your life is. Your passion for it will be infectious, and you're going to get him off his ass in doing it, getting him out in the world. Maybe if it's not something you said, not love, which can be a danger for us, as we seem to be more prone to having infatuation with mortals. But if that is not a concern for you, then maybe you can introduce him to somebody that can have that connection with him, or maybe just fake the connection with him. You've got a couple decades that you can devote where you spend at least nominal attention to him to keep him interested in going. Or maybe by then you'll get shape-shifting and you can make yourself appear old and inspire him to leave you for a younger woman. Like whatever the case may be, however it transpires. It's a flowing, animated action.
Thank you, Musashi Dono.
But of course, Pink Fox, I do not shy, and I think I know what spirit it was that you interacted with. I do keep a few specifically as potential alerts or potential distractions when I have visitors, because not all visitors are welcome, but you are. I do not mind the opportunity to discuss life and to discuss enlightenment. It was very late by the time you got here. I will give you directions on how to get back, and it'll be a faster route next time you come to visit so that you don't have to go wandering quite so much. And as he's saying this, his body's starting to kind of twitch and bubble and shift. And as he's talking, he's slowly starting to look like the gardener. In the meantime, as you are leaving, this poor gentleman, his body will be found in the river, but I have to make it look like an accident. So I am going to go fall off the bridge and in his stead. And when they find his body, there will be very few questions as to what happened.
I won't distract you any longer then. Thank you. And she, Pink Fox, gives a slight bow to Musashi that she debates for a very brief second, but then she hurries over him, gives him a big cuddle.
he accepts the
Obviously, her
embrace.
being even her being quite small, however, and due to the proximity of her head, he unfortunately isn't able to peer down into marshmallow heaven. But nevertheless, she then gives him another bow. She exits out the shack, probably picks up her boots and socks, which she dropped in her midst of her fire soul, and GTFOs.
All right. And yeah, and he indicates what direction that she can go to get to the tram station much quicker. And yeah, then he goes about to deal with the unfortunate victim. Does Pink Fox do anything else on her way back to her lair?
Aside from putting on her socks and well, obviously sweeping off any debris that are on her feet and putting on her socks and boots. That depends how many hours that she has left. If she has bare minimum time, she's just going to go back home and gleefully to herself. Right, now I have plans.
She's probably got about an hour flex time. It did take a while for you to find the spirit and then have the spirit lead you to Musashi. So a lot of your night has been eaten up, but she's probably got about an hour flex time.
Okay, she'll go back home then.
Okay.
It's been a very eventful night.
It has been. So I'll have you roll your yang for this eventful night. Not even from Musashi's dealings, but just the experience of dealing with the yang spirit and doing your ritual of taking a life. And yes, difficulty 6 on this one. And enlightenment will strike as you are reviewing the events of the night on the way home.
Suck it, Poe.
Pink Fox gains her 3rd point in her dharma at this moment. So filled with the extra energy of enlightenment. And we'll see if Pink Fox can be as fortunate as some others and just keep climbing without any setbacks. But at least you're...
And to break to you, but as she's going out that night, this is what Pink Fox is probably going to be screaming to herself in her head. Probably to her Poe as well.
Yeah. And with that, dear viewers, thank you for joining us. Sayonara.